Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Doug.
And now, from his basement somewhere in Fort Collins, Colorado, it's Stuart Yoshida of the OokTown Podcast. Stuart, it's time for the podcast. That's called OokTown Podcast with Stuart Yoshida.
Awesome, Doug. That's my co-host, Doug Brown, and that's absolutely the same introduction you've given me in previous times. Isn't that right, Doug? Actually not. So you know what? If you want to hear what Doug's going to come up with each week, you're going to have to watch each and every podcast because it is unique.
Exactly.
Doug, thanks for that. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Stuart Yoshida, host of the OokTown Podcast, where we talk about all things ukulele. I'm so excited for this show where we're going to bring on a couple singer, songwriter, performers, instrumentalists on the ukulele. And I love it because we have a new guest on the show. And before I bring them on, I wanted to give a big shout out to Victoria Vox, who could not make it to this show today. Yay, Victoria, because you are working, Victoria, at the voting center in the OC in Orange County. So good on you. Thank you for helping out our democratic process. I know she's masked up and she said it's going to be an interesting couple days. We can't wait to have you back on the show so you can tell us about what's going on. My first guest that I want to bring on, and the reason I want to bring her on first is because this is the first time she's been on the show. I want to bring on Dani Joy, singer, songwriter, ukulele instructor.
Hi.
Hey, Dani. So what are you doing? Where do you teach?
I teach from my house. Now I have online classes. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I started teaching online. I've got all these group classes I do during the week. I've got people now from New Mexico and the East Coast and California and Arizona and all these people that I usually would only see once a year when I was touring. Now I get to see them every week.
Awesome.
So
every week. That is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And what's it called, your school?
That's called the Dani Joy Music Academy, and I co-teach with my fiance Perry Stoffer.
With your fiance Perry. Now, is your fiance also a ukulele player, guitarist? What is he?
Yeah, he's a multi-instrumentalist.
Cool.
I brought him over from the bass side when we met. He picked up the ook about 4 years ago.
Awesome. 4 strings, that works?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Now, I thought you were from Northern California for a while. Did you move?
I did. I just moved in June.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Congratulations on all of that. And I want to bring on my next guest, Marlowe, who is an ukulele instrumentalist who we haven't had on. I guess I didn't realize it was 5 years.
Since June 29th of 2016.
Yikes.
Dang, that's a long time. Yeah, lots happened.
Doug Brown with the info.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when it was, but yeah, when you guys emailed me, it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to these guys in so long. You guys were there at like really the start of my professional career, if you will. So I'm excited to like come back. So thank you for having me.
Yay. Yeah. And good on Doug, Ben Hassinger, who suggested we bring you on. And he is such a great guy. In fact, we had him on just a couple shows. No, it was actually, this is the last show where Doug Brown, my co-host, was MIA. You want to talk about that, Doug?
Yeah, apparently my gallbladder decided that it wanted to go on a trip all by itself, and it didn't want me to come along. And not only was the OokTown podcast that weekend, but out of all of the time that we've this summer since the pandemic, like one of the few gigs that I had that I was really gonna mix some audio on was that weekend too. So they got
no.
As spaced out as I was on my phone call to you about, do you need me to take notes?
Doug was like, do you want me to start the Zoom session? I'm like, no, Doug, come on. You're on drugs right now. Just stay in bed, please.
Yeah, imagine the client going, there's a hum in the PA. Oh, what have you tried taking the ground out and then pajama pants? You're like, what? Pajama pants? What?
Yeah.
I
I don't know. Why didn't your wife take your phone away from you? I don't know.
Oh, well, I told them that I could either have my phone or a ukulele, and they said at the hospital that if I played the ukulele, they would put the gallbladder back in. So at that point,
What?
she said, "Yeah, let's have you keep your phone with you."
Oh man, I would have. Look, if the Ukulele Kids Club can have ukuleles in the hospital, why couldn't they let you have yours? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine what kind of tunes, because there was a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
they drilled
Yeah.
4 different holes in me trying to find it. I mean, they
What?
said
Really?
something about laparoscopic, but that's really what it looked like when you're trying to hang a shelf or a painting or something. And you
Yeah, and you're
drill a
trying to
hole.
find
And
this
it's like,
hole in
well,
the
not
stud.
there. How about this? Nope. How about
That is
oh, there it is. Good, good, good.
ah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it worked, but it worked out well, and I'm back
nice. Did you?
back to doing good.
I'm so glad that you look fantastic. You look marvelous.
I do
Did your
look
wife tell you
marvelous.
what I passed on the message from me? No, I told
No,
her to tell
she knows
you.
not to give me non-important.
Whoa,
Oh!
snap! No, I told her to tell you. Tell the gall of you for missing the show. All right. Well, so glad that everything worked out. That was quite the adventure, and everything on our end worked out. And I'm so glad everything on your end is working out. All right. Speaking of scary stories, yeah, it's Halloween. Today is Halloween. Ooh, spooky. And we want to talk about some Halloween stories. In other words, share some scary stories about gigs. Yeah. Any horror stories and um let's see, since I'm going to go around clockwise as I'm looking at this. So that's going to be Marlowe first.
Alrighty. Yeah, I was thinking about this question, like gig horror stories. I think like the most recent was right before the pandemic happened. I was in Blue Mountains, Australia for the Blue Mountains Ukulele Festival. And
Australia, you said?
yeah, in Australia. It was
Oh,
super cool.
nice.
Yeah, it was my
Wow.
second time being there. It was back in February, so it was like post, like right after the fires had happened. So it was, questionable that I was going to get there anyways. But I got there and it was great, and it was pouring rain the entire weekend, which was great for Australia, especially
Yes.
after the fires. But yeah, the night that we were gonna play, it was outside and it was just like a monsoon. And I remember walking out from my sound check, I was like, oh boy, and like umbrellas like flying open, and I was looking at the tent, like the water just going everywhere. I was like, man, I don't envision us playing outside tonight, and I don't know if it's gonna happen. And so it got like postponed, like the show itself, like an hour or two back, and they ended up moving it into the hotel that kind of all the workshops were happening in. So that was really
Mm-hmm.
nice. We still got to play, but yeah, walking out in that monsoon, um,
Wow.
pretty intense. And just, it was raining all day for the most part, but it was really hitting heavy later in the
Mm.
evening. But it did turn around. And like I said, the rain was great for Australia. So I
Oh,
didn't think
yeah.
too much of it. Yeah. Yeah. But I would say that. And then the only, like another one that I could think of was, it wasn't necessarily a gig, but I was at NAMM, the Winter NAMM show in Anaheim.
We'll consider that a gig.
Was considered a gig 2 years ago, I think. Or no, maybe it was the winter one, I think. And I was doing a demo for I think like Guitar Player Mag, and I was trying to showcase one of our ukuleles, but it was so loud. It's always so loud in NAMM. It was
Yeah.
so loud I couldn't hear myself, and I had broken my pinky like 4 days before NAMM. So it was like I couldn't hear myself, and when I look back and watch the video, I was like, "Oh, this is a disaster, a literal horror story of like a demo." So I felt bad that I couldn't represent the uke great enough, but it happens.
Uh,
They still put it out there, and yeah, it was okay. But that was like, that sticks in my mind often,
yeah.
especially when I go into a demo. Um, at NAMM, but
Wow.
hey,
Yeah, you
happens.
probably. I've heard you play. I think you still play better than me with all my fingers working, even with your pinky broken.
You
Good
played
on you.
better than I would have without a gallbladder in me. So,
Doug, you are so
Yeah.
much better without the gallbladder.
thanks.
Uh, yes, so those are some good stories, and we all have them, and it's great to share because all you ukulele players out there, you know, um, even the best of us, and I'm not saying I'm the best of us. I'm saying like Marlowe and Dani Joy, even the best of us have these great stories to share. Well, let's go over to Dani. What stories would you like to share? Any? You don't have to name names either.
um, well, I was thinking about this, and I think I've had a revelation that all of the stories, the things that happen where I forget lyrics or I completely conflate one song with another one and I start playing the chords of a different key, you hear it as quickly as possible and then you fix it, but it can rattle you, especially if you're just so sure that everyone else heard you do it. But all of those stories, I thought none of them are really horror stories because actually, if I think back, I actually learned how to deal with the crisis in the middle of it and then come out the other side going, well, it was somewhat disastrous, but I actually feel okay because you're especially at the NAMM show. Oh my gosh. So I guess you brought up the NAMM show, so I can give one specific story. I just did an album with Daniel Ho, which I just couldn't believe was happening. But before we actually agreed to do the album, he just said, "Hey, let me help you with some of your songs." And I went, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So we went back and forth, and then I went to the NAMM show, and I was so prepared. And he gave me these. He took the songs that I wrote, and he kind of changed the fingering a little bit and added arpeggios here and there, and then sent me back the music, and then I learned that. So I was going to the NAMM show to play it for him for the first time. And it was the first time at the NAMM show that I felt 100% prepared because I had started preparing like the year before almost. We started writing in March together. So I was just on my front porch with my eyes closed with the metronome going slow like he suggested. So I get there and we go find this quiet corner and I play it for him. And of course I mess up on a bunch of parts, but he just said, "I love it. Why don't you go up to the booth right now? It's Sunday afternoon. Everyone's leaving, but you should go up to the booth and play the song for people." And I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah." So I go up there and play, and the guy right behind us, it's Deering Banjos set up behind Romero Creations, which is the brand that I represent.
Yeah.
It's down in the E section where all of the acoustic instruments are, but it's banjos. And this guy's ripping on it right on the other side of the little wall. And so I'd go up to the mic anyway, and I'm playing something like... which is a very emotive and like you play it like you would a piano. So I did it anyway, and I could not hear myself at all. And I'm sitting there smiling to myself going, "This is a disaster," but I feel good. And I know it sounds good even though no one can hear it. Then Daniel said, play a second one. And I did. Afterwards, I swear, I'm thinking that was so horrible. I look up and Daniel Ho is crying. And
Wow.
Daniel's wife Lydia is crying. And my friend Danielle, who happened to come by, is crying. And they're all crying. And I'm thinking, how could this be possible? Because they heard what I heard. I mean, I had a completely different experience from what
Right.
they did. And that was when Daniel said, because you made people cry with a banjo playing behind you, I want you to come to my studio and record the album. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So-
guts. That is
What a great
sticking it
story.
out.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's when you need a banjo mute, which looks a lot like a hammer.
It looks like a sound engineer that's about 6'6". I knew a guy named Spider once that he was our banjo mute.
Joe mute.
That, he could go and talk to anybody and kind of get them.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's sticking it out for sure. Good on you.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
Okay, you guys ready for a spooky horror?
I want to hear
story?
your horror story, Doug. I'm sure you have a lot.
Okay. One time I was playing Rocket Man at the Denver Uke community, and I got into the verse and realized that I only knew the chorus. As I was going through it, I realized that my co-host was crying, and the people in the audience were all crying, and there was a dog in the street that was whining, and then somebody came by and said, "Hey, I'll give you $40 if you stop playing that." And then so that's my turnaround where.
Wow.
And then they gave me the money. I stopped playing, and everybody cheered right up. So,
Wow,
which is not as inspirational as Dani's story.
Well,
no.
however, you made some money, so that was
Yeah, exactly.
There's that.
Made more sense.
So there was a time where the Arvada ukulele circle was playing, and we were all playing together, and it was fantastic. And Arvada is just outside of Denver, and small group, maybe 10 people, 15 people, and had just a wonderful time. And the hosts were really excited because they had just gotten these brand new custom made, like $4,000 ukuleles.
Wow.
And they got a pair of them, one for each of them, and they sounded great, and they were just beautiful. And the host set his down on his chair, went to go get a drink, came back. Oh yes, you guys know how this story ends.
Really? Come on. No, this can't be real.
I have never heard a worse sound than his reaction to the crunching sound that resulted. Yeah, it was awful, and I felt so bad for him. But he did turn it into the homeowner's insurance and was able to get another uke. But
Really?
oh,
Wow.
yeah. Kids, don't set your uke down on a chair. That's not awesome.
Yeah. I have done that maybe early in my career, and maybe I almost sat on it myself. Is that for real though, Doug? I mean,
Oh,
wow.
yeah. Everybody that was like, it was one of those, oh, I guess this meeting is over. We'll be leaving now. It was awful. But see, that's why I have the solid body here, because
Right.
like you could sit on this and
Good
probably
thinking.
be okay.
Good
I mean, I'm still
thinking.
not going to, but
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, Doug, that's a great one. And actually, I'm going to tell us a couple of stories. One that we thought was going to be bad, but it turned out just fine. Just maybe like Dani was talking about. Actually, it involves you, Doug. And yeah, when I was playing with Bookham Dano, and we were at the Taste of Colorado, which was amazing. Which is usually year over year is a fantastic show. It's lovely. It's got booths. I don't know, Doug. They've got music, food.
music, like so much food, and so many people just go in every different direction. And I mean, it's a huge festival in downtown Denver here.
Yeah, and we were excited to be playing there. It's just a privilege to do that, and they're paying us actual money. What's not to like? And then, kind of like you were saying, Marlowe, then the rain came, and it was time for our set, and it kept coming down, and we're like, well, this is our time slot. They're paying us. So we said, whatever, if there's only one person out there, we will play for them. And so we went out there and we did our gig, and the crowd, which had pretty much evaporated in the rain, except for one person who was giving us the, hook 'em sign, and that happened to be Doug Brown.
Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday. It was awesome.
That Doug was the only person listening to Bookham Dano play in the rain, and we were so happy. We're like, who is that guy? And I guess did we meet at the Denver Ukulele Festival? I don't know, but you knew me somehow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So that was one of them. And then the other one happened recently. at another festival. It was really a bone-chilling cold night. It was getting in the fall, and it just happened to be like a sub-zero. I mean, they had set up these. This was in Arvada, maybe even. I can't remember. Anyway, it was a well-organized festival, except for that the parking attendant was way too trying to be too like Mr. I'm not gonna let you do what you want to do. And it's like, no, I'm a performer. So I was trying to get from the parking lot over to where the performers were, and they allow you to go through the back way onto the field through the parking lot, but this parking attendant would have nothing of that. I'm like, dude, I've got to haul my equipment all the way from this parking lot all the way over there. And he was like, nope, nope, got to park here. I'm like, no, no, I can't. And it says, I'm talking to the person right now. He wouldn't believe me. It's like, no, this person, I'm saying the person on the phone, tell the guy it's okay. And he wouldn't. So I said, okay, fine. I'll just park here. And then I actually didn't. I actually went over there and disregarded everything he said, and then I went through. I went to the other parking attendant down lower, and I said, "Hey, I got to get over there. Would you let me through?" And she was fine, so I did that. And so I'm the only one there waiting for the rest of the group to show up, which is part of the hula troupe down in Denver. And then I was calling ahead, warning everyone, warning my bass player, "Hey, there's a guy up there. You guys seen Seinfeld? Remember the soup Nazi? That was what this guy was like." And so he was like a soup Nazi for the parking lot. And I called him and said, "Hey, there's a guy over there. He's going to give you a hard time." And sure enough, everyone who came and tried to park, they gave my. I said, "So just go by him and don't pay attention to him, and just go around." And so that's what they all did.
So wait a second. He had soup?
I wish he had hot soup. Then he would have been okay. But no. Anyway, yeah. So that was a gig that almost didn't happen because we would have had to trudge a million miles. And fortunately, we all got through it okay, and we had a great time. All right. So ukulele. So thank you for sharing your best stories here. Next one I'm going to say is, since it's Halloween, what would be your favorite Halloween tune? And we'll start with Marlowe again.
Yeah, thinking about this, I've been, as far as like Halloween themed tune, Thriller by Michael Jackson has probably got to be my favorite. I'm a big MJ fan.
Wow.
But yeah, I love Thriller. And then another one that I've just been playing a lot randomly is the Halloween theme, like.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'll just like play it randomly, and my roommate the other day I was just playing it, and he took a video. He's like, "Hey, you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good," because I was just playing it for like 20 minutes back to back. Just, I don't know, it's been a good Halloween themed warm up when I go to practice.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
hey,
I've been
that's perfect.
rocking that one. So yeah,
Now,
I would
is
say
that
those are
one?
my two favorites right now. But
I can't
yeah,
remember
we
that
watched.
one. Is
Oh,
that
go ahead.
Jason? Is he the
That's
antagonist?
Michael. It's
Michael.
Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. Myers.
Jason,
Yeah.
Michael, you know.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, we watched like the new, I think it came on 2018, like the new Halloween movie reboot. And yeah, I was like, oh, dang, I kind of like that little theme. And yeah, all month, pretty much since the end of September, I've
Nice.
just been playing that one back to back. So those would
Right.
be my two favorites right now.
And I should have prefaced that. The ones, it has to be a tune that you like to play on your ukulele.
Yes.
Do
So
you play Thriller on your ukulele?
I don't remember it, but like a couple years ago, I did a short little video of the chorus, and so
Oh, wow.
I kind of,
Nice.
I like each year I kind of, and it'll do it for the Christmas tunes too. I'll like kind of stick to one song that I just obsessively play. And a couple years ago it was Thriller by Michael Jackson. This year it's the
Oh,
Halloween theme, so it's yeah.
and
Yeah, so it was
Doug,
about
are you looking at Doug here?
oh
He's
yes. Yeah, Michael, that's
everyone.
my favorite, like old school Halloween.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone on the podcast listening to the audio, you'll have to watch the YouTube with Doug with his mask on, or is that an effect, Doug? I think it is. Yes. Well,
It's snap camera is so one of the things about playing ukulele almost daily
I'm just,
on different clubs around the
yeah.
world is I have become addicted to snap cameras. So I've got filters for everything. It's awesome.
Otherwise,
Nice.
I dig it. I'll have to look into that and make a video. Little
Oh,
Michael
by the
face on
way,
me.
best-selling author in the making says, "Love your background, Dani." All right. Yeah, I do love your background too, by the way, Dani.
Beautiful.
Although Doug's comes in close because of he's out on the beach. So yeah, very, very good. All right. So thank you, Dani, for your suggestions or your tunes. What What about you, Dani? What do you like to play for Halloween?
I haven't been playing any Halloween songs. I could tell you what I like to listen to, but I really haven't been listening to many Halloween songs either. Um, I've been watching some scary, stuff on TV, which is
Have
fun.
you?
I had the
Nice.
Adams Family in the background yesterday when I was wrapping up all my raffle prizes and stuff for. Um,
Ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
this is my new stage now because I just hosted a weekend creative ukulele retreat weekend called Glamp Out, where
glamp
people
out.
made a glamp space in their
Ooh,
house, named it. This is Unicornitopia,
nice.
and then we met with Daniel Ho and Victoria Vox all weekend for like all kinds of
Really?
fun creative stuff. Yeah,
All
that's really.
right, cool.
Hmm.
So Victoria. Very
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Oh, which by the way, it's Danny Joy. How is that a stage name? Because did I tell you the story about Victoria Vox?
Uh-uh. It is. It's my actual name, but also my stage name.
Is it really?
Hmm.
That is cool. Well, okay, so with Victoria Vox, we were at I can't remember. I think it was at the Denver Ukulele Festival, and we were talking about stage names. I said, Daniel ate the sandwich. How'd you get that name? And then I skipped over Victoria Vox, and she's like, "Hey, hey!" I'm like, "What? What?" And she goes, "What about me?" I go, "What about you?" I go, "Oh, wait a minute. Victoria Vox is a stage name. I didn't know that." So yeah, I didn't want to assume. So that's your real name, Danny Joy, because that's like a great stage name.
Yeah, my mom. It's Danielle Joy, and I go by Danny.
Wow. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, great. Do you know? Uh, any scary songs you like to play on the ukulele?
Um, well, I wrote like a murder ballad a couple years ago about a girl who cheats at poker in New Orleans called
Ooh.
Ola Velblitch.
Oh, I like
um,
that.
yeah, so there's that. I've been playing one of the songs from my album is a little bit spooky to me. It's called Beautiful Strange World. So that's one that I've been playing a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe well, you can choose whatever you want to play. We're gonna have you play in just a minute, and I'm gonna now go over then to Doug. Now, Doug, you have a advantage because you do this every year with the Denver Uke community. Scary
Oh yeah,
tunes. What do you like?
spooky tunes
Spooky
because
tunes. Ooh, spooky
yeah,
tunes. There you
the
go.
let me tell you, the scariest tune I've ever played was I was part of a three-person team that we did Bohemian Rhapsody, and
No, what? Did
oh,
you
I
really?
I thought I knew it so much better than when we did it in performance, and I got into it. I'm like, "Mama," and then some guy came by and said, "I'll give you $40 if you stop playing that." And
Right.
so
Wait, that's a theme. Is the
Uh-huh.
same guy showing up all time?
I don't know.
It's
He follows me around anymore. But
Carrying a
uh,
big fish.
so the two songs that I've been doing all of this Halloween. The first one is one that I've been doing for years, which is Frankenstein. And so, oh my
oh,
darling, oh my monster, oh my monster, oh my monster, Frankenstein. It's awesome, and there's actually two different versions of it floating around out there,
nice.
and I have sung them both. But then my second favorite, the one that is the one that I really like, is the opening theme of Rocky Horror Picture Show. For everybody that's just listening, there are a pair of big red lips that
Yes.
sing the Rocky Horror theme, and that is the Snapchat filter that I have.
All right.
And,
Yeah,
yes.
Doug, you're just showing off now. Oh, by the way, best-selling author says, I think he was referring to Dani. She's going to say Nightmare Before Christmas. Is that something that, or is it maybe Marlowe? No, it's probably for Dani.
I've done like Sally's song before for
Oh,
a friend of mine who had a puppet show
Oh.
Halloween time. So that's
Nice.
one that I have done before. I don't remember how to do it now.
Ah,
Minor.
okay.
But I just love that haunting. Danny Elfman was a huge inspiration of mine growing up. And
Well,
he did
cool.
all the Nightmare
Yeah.
Before Christmas.
So yeah,
Yeah,
he's there you go.
Uncle Dave, so my twin brother out in California, he went to Nightmare Before Christmas at the Hollywood Bowl, where they got everybody to come and do it live.
Ooh,
He was
wow.
like, it was the best, and you didn't get to go to it, Doug Brown. I'm like, that's not nice to say at all. But but yeah, he's we're big Nightmare Before Christmas people, and somebody actually did Sally's song as a solo at today's meeting, and just nailed it. Oh, it was so good,
Really?
so good,
Ooh,
yay!
Love that.
Awesome. I think, any kind of song that even if it's well known is fun on the ukulele. I was just on a networking meeting the other day with some folks, and I said, yeah, okay. They wanted me. I don't know how they knew I played ukulele, but they said, yeah, why don't you do that on Ukulele Friday? So I did. I brought it, and thank you to Doug, or I think it was Doug. Anyway, I did Werewolves of London, and that was a big hit. That is a fun song, yeah. And we're going to talk about actually a little later on in the show, so stick around. How do you arrange cover songs? If you guys can help us out on that too. Well, cool. So yeah, that was mine. I played Werewolves of London, and then just to lighten it up, I played Brandy, which has nothing to do with Halloween or anything, but it's a fun song
Well,
anyway.
Brandy, she's a fine ghoul.
Oh! Ouch. Okay. All right, I'm gonna write that one down, Doug. That might be it for the show here. So yeah, Doug's in a contest to see how many of the shows he can name, and he's ahead by far. So thank
Well,
you.
part of that is I didn't tell anybody else it was a contest until after I was way in the lead. So
Right. Yes.
But you guys feel free to just throw them out there. Those names,
Throw
just
them out.
keep them coming.
Yeah. And the title usually has nothing to do with the ukulele, so you guys can throw out whatever you want. All right. As promised, though, I think I promised. Did I even say this? We're going to have Dani and Marlowe perform for us, which is, I should have mentioned that way up front. See, that's where professional podcasting hosts really shine, and I'm not sure if I did that or not. So hopefully everyone stuck around here, because next up, we are going to have a live performance. And first, we're going to have Dani give us a song. So Dani, what are you going to play for us today?
Well, I am going to play that song I mentioned, Beautiful Strange World.
Ooh.
And it comes from the album that I just made during pandemic with Daniel Ho.
Yeah. Hey, that's original artwork, isn't it?
It is.
That's beautiful.
I'm also illustrating every song, and we're going to make a songbook so that people can learn how to play the songs themselves.
Wow, that is cool. Which, by the way, so I want to give a shout out to Daniel Ho. So he's a Grammy Award-winning artist, a very amazing, cool guy. He's from Hawaii. Any roots for you in Hawaii, Dani?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I think my people came from Oklahoma area.
Oh, is that right?
Norway. Yeah.
Nice.
West.
Awesome. Well, you kept going west. That was a good choice. Good on you. Yeah, Daniel Ho is a fantastic artist. So that's really, really neat that you got to team up with him on this album.
Yeah, unbelievable. I've learned he's become my mentor, so I've just learned like my brain is just cracked open, man. The possibilities are endless, so I'm just really excited.
Awesome. So, Beautiful Strange World, is that what you're going to play for
Yes.
us?
So,
Cool. Whenever
so
you are ready.
okay. I'll be playing this on my tiny tenor. Her name is Sarsaparilla.
Nice, sarsaparilla.
This song, I was writing just like a verse for a song, and then I kept changing the words of the verse and couldn't decide what to sing, and then it kind of turned into singing the same verse over and over as the words kind of evolve. So the message in the beginning of the song changes a little bit by the end, and what begins as the singer kind of almost preaching to people ends up with the singer saying, looking inside of themselves and saying, me too. I need to appreciate this gorgeous place that we live, and even though it's no weirder times than now, man. I can't believe this life we're living. But here it is. We live in a strange, strange world. We live in a strange, strange world. We live in a strange world, and all of us suffer one way or the other. The price that we pay for this strange, strange world. We live in a beautiful place. We live in a beautiful place. We live in a beautiful place, and it's not always easy to see a beautiful place in this strange, strange world. Not always easy, sometimes it's hard. Not always easy, sometimes it's hard. Not always easy, sometimes it's hard to imagine that we take for granted this beautiful place in this strange, strange world. Not always happy, sometimes I'm sad. Not always happy, sometimes I'm sad. Not always happy, sometimes I'm sad. And I can't imagine my beautiful place in this strange world. We live in a strange, strange world. We live in a beautiful place. Not always easy, sometimes I'm sad. And I take for granted my beautiful place in this strange, strange world. Not always easy, sometimes I'm sad. As I make my way through this strange, strange world.
Hey!
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Were there, I swear, I heard kids in the background, something that sounded like part of the music. I was like, how'd you do that?
I was wondering if you could hear. I have a farmer's market that opens up directly outside my front door on Saturday morning.
Oh,
And I
nice.
think they're having their Halloween parade right now.
Well, it was like, that's a really, how did you
It added
add
an
that in? That
element.
is,
Yeah.
it worked great. And you know what is really interesting? What's the time signature on that, by the way?
Just
Is
four
it
four.
4/4? It
No.
comes across like it's an odd signature for some reason. Like you give it some breathing room, and that really makes it neat. So well
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Best-selling author in the making is giving you
I
uh
want to know who that is.
clap is big applause. So
It must be somebody I know.
awesome. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. I loved all the chords you had in there. They were super haunting in like a really beautiful way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Do you play high G or low G?
Oh, low G.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know what to do with a high G. And I finally told all my students, no more. I'm not doing high G. There's
That's me with
so
low
much,
G.
there's so much depth with a low G. No, it's
Yeah.
just low Gs. And Daniel Ho's voicings are different than anyone else's. So
Mhm.
stretch. That song's actually in G minor, but you wouldn't know any of the chords if you looked at the fingerings either.
Yeah. I was trying to look and I was like, sounds great. Whatever chords you're playing is beautiful. But yeah, I was curious. That's cool. I have to get more into low G, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's really good.
Oh, the ukulele traditionalists was like, oh no, high G only, Yeah, we have a whole show on that. Are you a low G or a high G? Is uh-oh, what's Doug gonna do? Are
Yeah,
you a
my solid body ukulele has a low G in
oh,
it,
okay,
so
sure. Of
But then,
course.
but it also has geared tuners, which is the other thing that super traditionalists have a big problem with too. So
Yeah.
you know,
Hey,
my dad had always said, "Hey, you got two choices. You can be angry about that for a long time, or get happy." So
get happy. I like that. Hey, look, Israel Kamakaviva Ole played low G, and
I was about to
he's
say, on a soprano.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it only looked like a soprano compared to his. No, I'm just. I don't know if he really play a soprano. I could never tell because he was such a big guy. It was like, is that what size of a ukulele? Because really, in relationship to him, it could be any size. All right. Well, thank you so much. Next top set of topics, since I'm assuming, although I don't want to make any assumptions, that people are spending a little bit more time at home, which is an awesome opportunity. I think as bad as this is, and boy, it has just been terrible times for a lot of reasons. So, Marlowe, you witnessed, at least when you're going to Australia. Did you see any of the burn, the forest fires from when you're landing or anything, or was that on the other side? I don't know where you were
I
in
was a
relation.
little bit, yeah, I was a little bit further, so I didn't see any of like the aftermath of it. Yeah, nothing. I didn't even really see smoke for the most part. It was pretty much just the rain. It was
Mm-hmm.
raining
Oh,
almost the entire time we were there. We had one clear day in Sydney,
mm-hmm.
and then other than that, it was pouring down. But as far as fires, I live in Los Angeles now, and like a
Oh, you
month
live in
ago.
Los Angeles now?
Now, yeah, I just moved here like a year ago or so,
Oh,
last
just in
September. Yeah, just in
wow.
time for everything. Yeah. But it's yeah, so I experienced even though the fires weren't particularly here, um it was like orange and yellow, like really
Yeah.
spooky, like coming through our windows, and it was fairly smoky for the most part for
Mm,
like a week or two. It was a lot worse kind of towards the Bay Area, but
yeah.
yeah, it's good pretty much now. But so I did see that fire aftermath kind of happen.
Yeah. Well, Colorado's that way too, and
Yep.
there was a fire. The largest forest fire in Colorado history was 10 miles west of where I live,
Yeah.
and it was so spooky. The sky looked like it was an eclipse. I've been in an actual eclipse, and that's what it looked like. If you've ever been in an eclipse, that's what it felt like and looked like. And then it started literally raining ash from the
Yeah.
sky.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, we're gonna stay inside. So
Yep.
speaking of which, staying inside, what should we do more of on the ukulele now that we, maybe have more time, can spend indoors?
So Would that be? It's raining ash. Hallelujah! It's raining
Oh.
ash. Amen.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No, we were.
So
yeah.
Marlowe, if you were gonna go, like you can't now, but if you were gonna go to an amusement park, would you go to Disneyland?
Oh, no.
Or would you go to Six Flags over something or other, Magic Mountain something? Which one would you do?
So I got to go to. So I've been to like Disney World and Universal in Florida. And when I got here, I did get the opportunity to go to Universal Studios here, which was really cool. But Disneyland is closed. They're talking about opening back up. So I would have to say probably Disneyland just to see the comparison. I'm really curious about it because I feel like Floridians are like, yes, our Disney World is like the best, but I feel like I talk to Californians here and they're like, nah, like Disneyland is where it's at. So
It is.
I would like
It
to
is.
see the comparison because I like seeing the comparison between Universal because I'm a huge Universal fan. So it
Well,
was cool.
Six Flag and Magic Mountain, which is in Santa Clarita, which isn't that where your brother lives, Doug?
Yeah, but
Which you
he also lives near near Disneyland. So if you had the choice between the two,
Yeah.
wait a minute. No,
that's-
does he live in Santa Clarita or not?
Oh,
Because
yes.
Santa Clarita
Yeah.
is not that. I mean, it's what 45 minutes or
everything is 45 minutes away from you in Los Angeles. Unless you got to take the 1 to the 101 to the 74, and then you got to get off on the. Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know. All right, Danny, do you have any opinion on this? Have you been to either of them? Because you're muted. Are you? What happened?
Sorry.
No problem.
Somebody asked me to go to Disneyland with them after NAMM. So I was at NAMM for the whole weekend. And then I went to Disneyland on a Sunday. And I thought it was the worst place on earth. But that's
Oh,
I
ouch!
don't have children. I was tired. And I'm going to lose a lot of fans right now. My best friend's a huge Disney fan. Disney is wonderful. I love the magic of it. If I have children, I bet it would be incredible. And I was told that you should definitely go on Mother's Day because that is the slowest day of
Oh,
the
really?
year.
Were there a lot of
So,
were the crowds there? Is that what was the?
yeah, crowd-wise, just like Mother's Day is dead,
Oh,
apparently.
okay. But
So
yeah,
you
when
can
you
go
went
there.
there, was it
No,
like
when I
long?
went there, it was really busy, and the only thing I
Yeah.
noticed was that they didn't have any chairs for us to sit on. I was in a weird place. But I do remember you walk by, and there's this one guy in this tiny little cubby that was totally not busy, and he was in there drawing. And we poked our head in, and he started saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just here to show you how the original cartoons were really illustrated." So he
Oh,
went there
wow.
and had like this little desk and a lamp, and he was showing us the layers and how you
Yeah,
flip
yeah.
over to color it, and he put the
The clear
So-
cellulite or I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
cellophane or something. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Acetate, probably. Yeah. And I went to I graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design a decade ago.
Oh, wow.
Doing illustration, and then I started pursuing music. So I do remember that being like he was super thrilled too. He was kind of like, "Someone's talking to me."
Wow,
I'm
that's so
excited,
cool. See, Disneyland. There you go.
You'll
Disney-
find magic no matter what mood you're in.
Yeah. And did we tell you, did I forget to mention that Doug's a big fan of Disneyland? So,
Oh yeah. By the way, Uncle Dave, if everything is loosened up by Mother's Day, expect-
I haven't been to the Star Wars area because that's a new one. So it's,
oh, so cool.
yeah.
My roommate went like I think opening weekend for that or like somewhere around when it started. She said it was pretty cool. She showed me pictures and it's pretty. It looks pretty incredible, especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I was. We were gonna put it off because they had talked about how it's gonna be 2 and 3 hour lines and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And my brother called me up, and it's funny because he had just come out to visit me here in Denver, and then he called me up like maybe 2 weeks later and said, "Dude, there's nobody down here. Everybody was scared off by the warnings that it was gonna be so huge. You should get on a plane today." And we went and rode the Millennium Falcon ride 3 times in a row. And so there's like 3 different
Nice.
seats that you want to sit in or that you can sit in. And I got to do all 3 and it was fantastic.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Well, anyway, because Doug's a big fan there, and his brother lives in Santa Clarita, which is right next to Magic Mountain, Six Flags Magic Mountain. But you just don't even bother going there. Which, okay, actually, I don't blame you, Doug. I don't blame you. So, been to both. I would say, yeah, stick with Disneyland if you're into that.
Yeah, I was gonna also visit Knott's Berry because I heard that was another one. My brother was supposed to visit me. He lives in Colorado now. He was supposed to fly out like the week that LA closed down, and we were gonna go to Knott's Berry. So yeah, I guess it'd be another one too. There's so many. Of course, as soon as I was ready to like go out and do all the amusement stuff, they kind of shut
Yeah.
down. So just
Then
be
everything got
patient.
shut down, right?
Yeah.
Well, October's cool because one of the first trips. Oh, get a load of this. The first time I went out to visit Dave in L.A., I flew in. I was a magician in high school and college, and we went to the Magic Castle. And my brother shows you how much he loves me. He sat through like probably 4 hours of nonstop magic acts, and I was just like, "This is the best." He's like, "Yeah, this is." Yeah. And then we went to a ukulele festival, and that was before he started playing, so he had to sit through a whole day of people
Nice.
banging away at the
Oh,
ukuleles. And then the last day we went to Not Scary Farm, their
Nice.
haunted house thing, and then I got on a plane and went home. And it was just like it's one of the best vacations I've ever taken.
That's
It was
awesome.
great.
Yeah, Magic Castle is insane. I've been there twice, and I went for my birthday in February. It's amazing. I love magic, so it was really, really
Nice.
Yay, you are okay.
cool.
All right. Now that we have gotten through that, we want to go back to, hey, now that we are still locked down, at least in the foreseeable future for the next couple months. Oh my gosh, and I hope it ends soon. However, now that we are here, what do you like to do? What do you recommend? There's all kinds of things going on, but what have you been doing? Let's go in the reverse order here. Actually, you mind if I skip you, Doug, and I'll go with Dani, and then to Marlowe, then to you?
Well, I've got a really quick one. I liked playing a Martin T1 tenor like Israel Kromakaviva Ole did. When that's what I like doing.
All right. Well, if you have one, I'd love to see it. Do you really have one? Because I'd be jealous.
Okay, but that's how I tie it back into
Okay.
what we were talking about
All right.
before, Stuart.
Okay.
There we go. So yes, a tenor is what he played. He played a tenor.
Yes. Okay. Oh, he did. All right. Like I said, I couldn't tell. He's so big. Anyway, Dani, what have you been doing locked down?
Oh well, I've been painting. I've been
Ooh.
exploring watercolor painting again because, like I said, I'm illustrating my songs. So that's like, I graduated art school 10 years ago, and then I started learning music, and I started teaching music, and I started performing. So I didn't really get to do. This is kind of a reawakening for me, which is the pandemic. Absolutely, is the reason why I was able to do that. I had to stay home. I built a little studio space, and now I've got a whole space set up, so everything's ready. So I've been experimenting with inks and things like that. Ukulele wise, though, I've been playing the bass, the ukulele bass.
Oh, nice.
I actually sell instruments now, which was an accidental, also repercussion of the pandemic. But so I picked up the bass and started learning walking bass and how to
Wow.
walk into chords and how to stay on a chord for the measure, and it just kind of has been opening up my mind to compositional ideas and ways of approaching the ukulele that are different, thinking about arpeggios instead of just a chord shape, and how to move from one chord to the next gracefully without just jumping to another chord. So
Ooh.
I've been doing that, and I've been doing some classical. Daniel Ho wrote the song called Ami's Rondo, and it helps you practice your technique. So, and it's one of those that you can just get lost in it, like Marlowe was talking about with that Halloween song.
Mm-hmm.
You can just get lost in it and keep going again and again and again, and working on letting all the notes ring out. And you start very slow, and I do this meditative breathing and let my mind go blank kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
With those meditative types of music where I mean, that's one of the best things about learning on arpeggio, right?
Oh,
Because you
neat.
can get into that meditative space. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing to do too, when you're locked down, is start learning the arpeggios and those kind of repetitive patterns that you can play. I love that kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Marlowe, what do you like? What have you been doing locked down?
Yeah, as far as lockdown, like when it was really in the heat of it, like in March and April, I was, besides like music, meditating a lot, doing a lot of yoga, getting into that stuff that I never really had, like I wanted to do, but never had the
Mm-hmm.
time necessarily to do. So that was really nice, just like mentally. And then as far as music, I was really focusing actually a lot on like the production side, which is something that I've always been curious about. And so just doing more than just my ukulele and playing a lot of guitar and recording a lot of guitar and a lot of piano. Um, and adding in like synths and MIDI and just kind of making like just other songs, I guess. And kind of reaching into a different genres as well, like R&B and hip hop, and then incorporating my ukulele into that as well. And it was cool. I had my friend Kyle stay with me for the quarantine, and he's a lyricist, so we were making videos and writing together, and it was really nice to have someone there with me to collaborate, bounce ideas off of. And yeah, it was really good. It was just like really meditative, refreshing experience. It was a good time, because you never know when everyone in the world is going to have all this time to do essentially whatever they want. And so just taking advantage of that time was really nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that what I'm hearing is that, you were able to explore these other things, arranging songs, doing your meditation practice. I think that seems to be a good practice when you're locked down. I know
Yeah.
it's sounds hard. It's just you just start, and maybe the ukulele is like a palate cleanser, because you can do that, play the ukulele, cleanse your palate,
Yep.
then get back into that space.
Yep.
Uh, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what and I love to hear, and Danny too, with your exploring that art that you haven't done necessarily professionally, but bringing it back into the now and present, right? So I love how you're connecting. Here you guys are connecting that creative space to what you're doing. So maybe it's so Danny, you're painting like you're a theme for each song that you're doing. Is that kind of what you're doing with your?
Yeah, I'm illustrating each song. So I took some pictures of myself as posing, and then added a bunch of elements in. So the song book that I'm doing will have, as you turn the pages, they'll have a big title illustration for the song, which kind of sums it up, and then the music will have vignette illustrations around it using
Hmm,
little from the lyrics of the song. So
very cool. Ooh,
elephants dancing with lollipop trees, and
I love it.
a smoking toaster for pineapple mango
Oh,
song.
oh, right, right. Pineapple mango.
Yeah, everything's a bit haphazard. It's been fun exploring kind of a surreal. I'm looking for surreal imagery, so or using them, which is perfect because right now this world is so surreal. My brain keeps trying to make sense of it, and I've
Right.
only been doing this for 9 months or 8 months, and
Mm-hmm.
my brain still keeps saying, "I just can't believe it."
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using my time wisely, like you guys are talking about, and I hope people are at home too, because if you do not make time for yourself to be creative, you will never have the time to be creative, because life is ongoing. There's
Mm-hmm.
always sweeping to be done. There's always things to go into town and do, but now we're not using our money for like
Yeah.
shopping trips and things like that.
I Yeah, that it just struck me what you're saying there. both you and Marlowe are talking about creative endeavors, right? Using the time to, for you, Marlowe, you're exploring the different arrangements, different instrumentation. Uh, I love that. I love being able to add in instruments that you can never play yourself necessarily, just using MIDI and things like that. And so that's a really great way to use the space. Awesome. Yeah.
So Dani, when that's done, where would we go to
yeah.
find that?
Well, it'll definitely be on my website, danijoymusic.com. And everyone
you mean that website that's in the show notes that everybody can go and
Right.
find?
very one, Doug. And if people are on my email list, they'll hear about it first.
Ooh.
You can do that on my website. Yeah.
Very awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. That is a great suggestions on what to do during this lockdown. And as promised, we are coming up to the next live performance. And this time we're going to have Marlowe. So,
Woo!
yay! And since Marlowe, you're an instrumentalist, what are you going to be playing for us? Is this going to be an instrumental?
Yes, this is going to be an instrumental. It's a new song I wrote in quarantine.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I mean, we live in a crazy world right now, and just like Dani said, every day I'm trying to make sense of it and understand, and just roll with it. And so it's funny, I had a name for it, didn't write it down, and I forgot it. I don't know how I did that, but yeah. So if anyone's got name suggestions, throw them at me. But yeah, it's just higher energy song that I'm still working things out on, and during quarantine as well, just getting ready towards a new album or EP. So I'm hoping that this one I decided to put on there, and yeah, it's good. So I don't know the name, but it's something I worked on I think back in April.
All right. So the unknown.
Ladies and gentlemen, now for the first time, Magic Castle Buffet.
Yeah, magic. I like that. Cool. Am I good to go?
You are good to go.
Awesome. Roll the sleeves.
I was reminded of a little bit of Jake and Yes. I don't know why, but you know the group Yes?
Yeah,
They take those
yes.
little instrumental breaks in their songs, and they're very classically influenced too. So awesome.
Thank you.
No title yet, although we have Magic
Title.
Castle Buffet up.
That's a strong contender there.
Chanel says, "Yeah, beautiful, Marlowe."
That's my roommate.
Oh,
She's
okay.
watching in the other room.
Nice.
Thank you, Chanel.
Yay!
I want to say that it reminds me of the way life is going in pandemic right now. It's like things are going smooth and they're going along, and then all of a sudden, and your brain
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
and then goes back in. Yeah.
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 Thank
You
you.
made-
I wrote it
made-
out of a lot of emotions. Yeah, it was like not like anger, but I was just like, what is God? Like I was never like really angry, just like confused. And I'm such a person that, plans for the future, and to not know anything and just live in the unknown is really unsettling. And yeah, I just kind of worked that out, and hopefully, it feels like the world kind of right now. So
Well, there you go. You wrote it during the pandemic, and it's reflecting the pandemic. It's perfect, and we're all in the dark woods a little bit. I know I've been going through all kinds of ups and downs, anger, and is one of them, confusion, just, and you're just wondering when this is going to end, and
And surgery.
surgery.
All kinds of things.
Oh, well, I want to move on from that beautiful song to maybe helping other people with the ukulele and arranging songs. I know this is something that is somewhat of an art. Once you get past the strumming and the chords, then you start looking at songs. And, a lot of people, and myself included, would start off with a song that they know and then try and figure out, well, how do I play that song, which a lot of times has got some incredible instrumentation, and play it on an ukulele.
Now, I can tell you, when I arrange songs, I put the song I'm going to do first on this side, and then I arrange the next one next to it.
Kind of going left
That's,
to right or right to left, Doug? Is that how do you arrange
Exactly.
the music? Yeah.
That's how I do it.
All right. So people, that's really good tip when you're playing a song. Have your music in front of you and arrange it so that you can see it. After you do that, let's hear what. Let's start with Dani.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm getting excited about right now is visiting, like Rocket Man is a song that Perry and I, my fiance, who's my bandmate, we're talking about learning. But
Really? Are you kidding me, or is that because
no,
Doug?
I just did it in the strum along, and it's just.
Oh wow.
But the one I'm really excited about is Space Oddity.
Yeah.
So how do you take a song and make it yours, I think is a question, or just turn it into an ukulele?
Either way, because sometimes it's like, how does anyone even tell that you're just not strumming down, up, and versus, hey, that's not how Elton John played it, so that people will recognize and go, oh, wait a minute, I recognize that song.
Well, you have to take the essence of the song first, and you can tell an amateur, which it's not so bad being an amateur. Everybody starts that way. But you can tell when an amateur does it is when they don't take the important elements of the song, the iconic elements, and they leave kind of some of the riffs and stuff out, let's say, that they could have learned. And then they apply kind of a generic strum to it. But something like Space Oddity, these songs tell a story. So I make sure that when I'm doing it, that the emotive quality, it has its ups and its downs. And in a song like that, specifically, it's like, ground control, the major tom. I play a bit of it, but I can't remember the chords. But you get a little bit of a harder, like it's ground control logging in, saying, hey, we're just logging in. We're just checking you out. You're up in space. We're down here. And that's how the story goes. And he says, oh, I'm just stepping through the door. So when he steps through the door, I've started the rhythm with a little bit of a forward doom, da da dum, da da. And then when he steps through the door, I take my perfectly chiseled nails that I like to think are perfect, and I bring, and then I start doing little arpeggios because he's stepping out the door and all of a sudden weightless. And so when it comes back to ground control being freaked out, well, ground, like you can't hear you. Where are you? That gets a little bit even louder and a little bit like, oh no, where is he? And then it comes back to, I'm floating in my tin can. And he's almost losing his mind. It's like oxygen
Yeah.
deprivation or something. And he's actually happy and saying, all I'm doing is just floating in space.
Mm.
So telling the story with dynamic, I would say, is the most important thing, is loud and then soft.
Yeah. And the rhythm sounds like that's important too, just adding the rhythm to emphasize that story, that part of the story.
And the original rhythm of a full piece band. I mean, you're having to do that on an ukulele.
Yeah.
So you just got to find where the accents are, wherever the kick drum was, wherever the big guitar strum, things like that. And you make sure that those are louder than the others. And you should be able to capture the essence pretty good. And then
Yeah.
after you know it, like sing it right, sing the melody correctly.
Yeah. I think when you're singing along with a song, you naturally start to give the accents that, even if there's no singing, you're singing the part that you hear, that rhythm that you hear. Like even in Rocket Man, there's a rhythm to it. So yeah, that is very cool. Marlowe, what do you like to do with arranging songs?
Yeah, I think I take a lot of influence. Or I'm heavily influenced by like Jake. Kind of how Dana was talking about, like the dynamics of a song and rhythm. Like I just think Jake encompasses like ultimate dynamics and rhythm for me personally. And so whether I'm writing or doing like a cover of an instrumental, I mean, it's an instrumental, so there's no singing involved, and you have to tell the story and portray the lyrics just with ukulele itself, which is already kind of its own task. So I don't know. I think the more that I watch other people perform and watch how they can draw the crowd in by playing loud or playing really soft, I try to take note of that in my own performances. And um, I will say, this is kind of off the topic a little bit, kind of a side story, but my stepdad always like encourages me to really embrace the silence in between um, just moments in a song, and that's always stuck with me. And he continually tells me, and he still tells me to this day, like really pay attention to that, because the silence can be the most powerful part of an instrumental. And yeah, I mean, that's what, again, Jake and Clay and Chris and all these great instrumentals, that's what they really excel in, and that's what I'm trying to capture the essence of. And for example, I brought my roommate to a Jake show in Santa Monica a year ago, and I just look over, she's like bawling her eyes out, because it was just like Jake was just standing in silence for like 10 seconds. I'm like, I know. But yeah, as far as like arranging, just kind of Dani nailed it, just capturing the essence of the song, whether it's with lyrics or just instrumentally, being aware of the dynamics, embracing the silence in those songs. And yeah, that's how I'd say. Dani pretty much nailed it with that. So yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of that.
Great minds.
Cool.
Yeah, the $40 guy actually told me that I needed to really embrace the silence. Really embrace it.
Hey, you got some moolah there for embracing the silence.
Exactly. That was a teachable moment. I love it. By the way, Marlowe, Justice says that was fire. Justice, why?
It's my other roommate.
All right, nice.
Working right now, he's downstairs working.
I love it. Yeah, I think there's a riff, to popular music, and when you hear that, like in Werewolves of London, it was the sixth of the chord, dun, then down a whole step, dun, then the G, dun, and that's like what you hear when he's playing it when Warren Zevon's playing it on the piano, bum 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 bum, Werewolves of London, and so that's what the other thing that you can pick up and you can add to it. It's a little chord melody kind of thing. So all you folks out there, chord melody is always important, especially when you want to, when you're playing a cover song, so that you can add in those little riffs that are so identifiable in a song, that make it, people go, oh, wait a minute, I recognize that song.
I would say, if I may add, I think too, if people are looking for like a tip on how to arrange, again, any song, but specifically instrumentals, this is something that stuck with me as well. Mighty Uke Day, my first like big thing that I did like 4 or 5 years ago when I last talked to you guys, is I played the first night and Clay got me out, played the second night, and I attended one of his workshops. And he, it was about kind of arranging and soloing, and this has always stuck with me. He's like, learn the song in and out, every part of the song.
Mm,
Sing, what is the singer doing? What are
mm,
the drums doing? Drums and bass. What's rhythm doing? What is the guitar doing? And then once you've kind of been a master of that song, it's so much easier for you to sit there and look at a chord sheet or just listen to the song and translate all that onto your ukulele. Because I've done it before where I just try to jump in on a
mhm.
song that I really like, but never taken the respectful time enough to master it. And it makes it so much hard to arrange and it gets frustrating. But the songs that I do know, like the back of my hand, like I can hear everything. It takes me no time to
Right.
really translate that into an instrumental.
And I'll add to that, sort of on the flip side almost. I've got a video on my YouTube page where I'm doing Harvest Moon by Neil Young. I'm not a Neil Young fan. I mean, I never grew up
Mm,
if it was on the radio. So this had come up in a ukulele strum along, and I just had the chords, and somebody else was singing the melody, and I fell in love with the song, having never heard Neil Young's version.
mm.
So I just kept playing it to myself and playing it to myself, and then when I went and listened to his original, I do so many different things with my vocals because his is very like da 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 da. He kind of keeps like a 3-note range, and
Mm.
I take it when it says the moon is climbing high, and I take it up, and I take it down, and I try to tell the story my own way, and the strum is completely different. But it's not an example, in my opinion, of obliterating a song. It's
Yeah,
reimagining it totally
exactly.
differently
Making it
from
yours.
my heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you do with a cover song when you really know it, and then you can take it to wherever you want because you have to know it first, and then you can just take it to wherever you want to go. And yeah, so that's why I only go for 3 chord songs because then I don't have to remember much. But yeah, so awesome tips on arranging cover songs, and uh, I think the thing about once you learn it, the fun thing is just turning into whatever you want, right? We do a reggae version of Gilligan's Island, and it's fun when you can turn it into something that it was not necessarily meant to be, just making it your own.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, we are on the home stretch here, and we're going to go through this last section pretty quickly, but because we've been spending a lot of time together, which has been awesome. However, some sad news. You probably guys heard that Eddie Van Halen passed away just recently, which was a huge bummer. It's like, oh man. So I want to talk about Eddie, and you're thinking, well, what does Eddie Van Halen have to do with ukulele? And really, it's not necessarily that if he played a guitar, electric guitar, and amazingly well. It's really he did some stuff that is so still relevant that I think. So I wanted to just touch on that, see what your thoughts were. I don't know if you're an Eddie fan or not, but we'll go around this way, which is Marlowe. So what are your thoughts on Eddie? What he meant um, when you first heard his songs, and maybe things that what you learned from him.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up listening to Eddie Van Halen and just those iconic songs. Like I always think of Jump.
No, yeah.
Because it's
Bum, bum, bum,
yeah,
bum.
such an iconic song, and I have a vivid memory. My brother knows how to play that like synth part on the piano. My mom does a lovely vocal rendition of it, and so I always
Really?
say
Ooh,
they do
wow.
okay. They do okay, but it's funny. And so I always think when I always see that song, I always think about that. But yeah, no. So grew up listening at a very young age, and yeah, he's just a pioneer for guitarists. I think for any stringed instrument or just, I mean, any instrument, he really just pushes the boundaries and shows that there are absolutely no limits to how you can play something. And I was, as I saw this was one of like the topics, I just kind of went and the past couple of days just was constantly listening to him and watching videos. And I found this video of him playing at the Hollywood Bowl a few years ago. And it was just him and just like all the tapping he was doing and just like an absolute monster on the guitar. It just reminded me of like when I watched Jake play, like his song Dragon. I just saw like so many parallels of just all the tap. Any live performance of Jake Dragon is always like immaculate. And I just saw a lot of parallels between just the techniques and the sound. And what I think both of them share is that they've just nailed the tone of their instrument with like distortions so well. Because I'm such a fan of putting my ukulele through distortion. I love my natural ukulele, but I do have fun playing with pedals. And yeah, Eddie just, when you hear his guitar, like you instantly know that's him playing the guitar because it's so iconic. And again, I just think he's a pioneer. And something that I found out this morning, I was reading some stories. Like I said, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. I had no clue that Eddie was a collaborator on Beat It.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't. I don't know why I didn't know that because I'm a fan of both. But yeah, I read through that and it's just cool. Like I feel like he would just be such an interesting guy to talk to, like as far as his energy. Because I guess Quincy Jones called him up and he thought it was a prank call, and he was just kind of giving Quincy hell. And he's like, "Hey, I mean, come to my studio." And he walked in, and it was Quincy and Michael and all the engineers. And like Michael, after like 10 minutes. Eddie did his solo and he kind of just took apart Michael's song and like rearranged it and it became Beat It. So like I said, I mean, just anytime I hear his guitar, you just know it's him by the way he plays and just by the tone. Like I'm such a tone person, and it's an extreme loss for the community.
It is. Yeah, and there's so many things that you brought up that I think are applicable, right? You know, finding your unique voice. He was so unique, and he just made it unique. And I'm pretty sure that Jake was inspired. I'm sure I could read some things that he was inspired by the things that Eddie Van Halen did. Just the, owning the instrument, making it unique. The riffs, so iconic. Getting a riff that coming up, and it doesn't matter what instrument you're on, getting a really cool riff is so important. And the pioneering part, pushing boundaries, that is so cool. Dani, what about you?
I'm glad that Marlowe had so much to say because I did not do my homework, so I quickly Googled to see if I could recognize a song and sound like I knew what I was talking about. I don't recognize any titles.
That's all right.
I have zero ad.
That's okay. And what I would say is that one of the things that, I don't know who was talking about, I'm trying to look, but talking about the rhythm, like, right. You talked about this, Dani, about, adding the rhythms. What people don't know is there's some actual things on Eddie Van Halen where it's just, they isolate his guitar. His rhythm is so incredible. There's a song called Panama, and you wouldn't believe it, but if you listen to that rhythm part, it is absolutely syncopated. It is not on the beat, and he's like, the whole riff changes, the rhythm pattern changes, pretty much syncopated through that whole thing, but he replicates it over and over again. It's like there's no way he could play that again. He plays it almost exactly the same rhythm the next time through, and it is just like, that is, if anything, learn on the ukulele to play syncopated rhythms like Eddie did. And you don't have to play it on the electric. It's just that his, go ahead and listen to the rhythm track on Panama. It's incredible. And I'm not talking about the solo. I'm just talking about the rhythm track. So that's one of the cool things that Eddie brought to us. Did you already go? I can't remember.
He can't even remember.
I can't remember, but you're on the bottom anymore. There, so I'm going to you now.
So there was a quote out of an article, and I have the article in the show notes, talking about a review of a Jake concert, and it was talking about how he did his best Eddie Van Halen impersonation on Bring Your Ads, a song that was inspired by repeated teenage viewing of a Van Halen concert video. I thought that's what a ukulele concert should sound like, explained
Yes.
Jake. So yeah, it really but yeah, I mean, I remember Uncle Dave, once again, Uncle Dave and I driving around the bad side of Arvada, which is like the most non-threatening suburb of Denver, listening
Good tacos,
to Running
though.
with
Good tacos.
Well, yeah, they're good tacos out here. But listening to Running with the Devil, and just, you know, oh, we're edgy but listen, once again, that rhythm, you know, yeah. So a huge loss. Although I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of Eddie Van Halen that he didn't have a cigarette
Right.
hanging
Yeah.
out of his mouth,
I
or
know.
like the super cool, like the cigarette where he put it up in his
Yeah, where he has
headstock.
it burning in the.
It's
I know.
like-
And I'm
Iconic.
I'm pretty sure there's some burn marks in the headstock there. I'm
Oh
almost
yeah,
certain.
well, it's one of those things where it almost makes you want to smoke so that you could do that.
No,
but not
no.
quite. Not quite.
no. I think wasn't part of it. He had throat cancer. I can't remember what it was, but it was a cancer of some
Yeah.
sort. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
tragic. Plus, you know, I mean, the drugs didn't help. But he was very intense. He would go off into his hotel room after gigs, and he would just like perfect his sound. And that's part of it too, right? You know, that applies to anything, any instrument. So perfect your sound, perfect what you want to do, right? Be unique, pioneer. So much miss
that's
him.
one of the things that Aldrine was saying in one of his podcasts, that going and listening to that I think he said that Jake really helped him with this, is listening to every tone that he was doing, and is that the tone that you want? Where I just go, is that close to the chord that goes with this song? And can I tell a joke along with it that will make
Right.
people not realize that I have missed it? But yeah.
And yet you are perfecting your craft that way too, Doug.
And I'd like to just add something. I was behind the stage with Aldrine at the Auburn Ukulele Festival, and he said, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just a little nervous, you know." And he goes, "Yeah, me too." And I was like, "That's very sweet of you to say," you know. He goes, "No, if you care about something, you want to do it right."
Mhm.
And he's like, "I don't want to go out there and mess up in front of all those people." This is like a year ago.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me. And I thought it's important. If it's important to you, you'll be a little bit nervous about presenting it. That is not a bad thing. It means you care.
Nerves
Yeah,
are
for
good.
sure.
And if you I recently just developed my first workshop about soloing, like an intro to soloing, and like nerves, messing up, it happens. It all happens. Like, you know, you just like own the mistakes and all that. And half the time people aren't even going to notice, like kind of going back to like those tips and tricks. As long as you're having fun, it'll be infectious. Mess up, it's okay. You know, you'll get it right the next time. And yeah, it is always nice to hear like Aldrine and just like all the legends, like they still get nervous to this day. And same with you, Dani. I'd be like, okay, yeah, thanks. I'm sure you're nervous. But yeah.
Yeah, so the last time Aldrine came to Denver, I can't remember what we got around to the and I am the hugest Aldrine fanboy in the world. But we got to the end of the show, and he was winding it all up. He's like, "Do we have any requests?" And I yelled, "Ice Cream" off of like one of his very first albums. He's like, "Oh, I haven't played that in so long. I don't know if I even know it anymore." But it's like, yeah, okay, Aldrine.
I remember he was apologizing because he was out of breath because, you know, he's been, you know, going from sea level to Mile High, and it's like I could not tell. I wouldn't have even known if you hadn't mentioned it.
Yeah, I was.
Because
out of
I
breath
apologize.
listening
I'm
to
out of
it.
breath. I should have like, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, good stories. Fantastic, fun. And it is time to wrap it up. And what a show we have had. So great to have Dani Joy the first time on the show. Dani, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Marlowe, the instrumentalist, thank you for great to have you back. I'm sorry that it took so long to have you on again.
No worries. I'm glad to be here. I was really, really excited when I saw the email. So I appreciate it.
That's great. I so appreciate having you on. So let's start with Dani Joy. Tell us about what's happening with you, your album, where we can get it, what you're doing.
Thank you for giving me this platform. Appreciate it. Gosh, I had so many plans this year. Well, but plans change. And even my student clientele was brave enough to go online. All of us were like, Zoom, what?
Yeah.
Thinking, how am I supposed to get into this meeting? We've learned so much. So I have an album. Like I said, I recorded it. The week the pandemic started was Patty's Day week, officially, and I was in Santa Monica trying to get food at Trader Joe's with Daniel Ho and his wife. And it was like, the apocalypse. We weren't quite sure what was going to happen. But this album is on my website, DaniJoyMusic.com. And everyone who orders one gets a handmade sticker of one of the illustrations. It says, elephants dancing with lollipop trees from the song Darling Dream, which is a kind of a sad lullaby it's a song that was written for a play that hasn't been written yet. So it's kind of has a little bit of a tragedy element to it, but it's comforting too. And then I just made these stickers for Dani Joy Music.
Nice. Oh, and your Romero and your Romero ukulele. Are you a sponsor? That's your sponsor too. There you go.
This is my personal ukulele, but I've got a whole wall of instruments available on Reverb now.
Yeah.
All Romero. I'm about to order.
Gorgeous. What's it made out of? Koa?
This is Koa, and this was one that was a performing uke of Daniel's, and he said, "Oh, you're going down there to pick out your performing uke. Think about taking this one that I left there a little while ago."
Wow.
And I played a bunch of others, and then I strummed this one, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
That's a really cool shape, the triangular shape.
It's fashioned after the lute, and Romero Piercings is really special because Pepe Romero Jr.'s one is the luthier designer. And his father, Pepe Romero Sr., and his brothers are knighted of Spain, and they are world famous classical guitar players.
Yeah.
They're like the classical guitar players. And so he started building instruments for his dad. And then Daniel Ho came along and said, I need you to build me a short ukulele that has the sound of a tenor. And so this one was designed. It's a little bit thicker. It's got a lower bout, reversed bracing, all these incredible elements that just makes it sing. And then, but when you carry it around, it's like the size of a
smaller.
concert.
Oh, yeah. What did he call that? I can't remember that.
Tenor.
What's that? Tiny tenor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, cool. The tiny tenor. Awesome. So you're selling those on Reverb too.
Yeah. Yep. I got those going, and then the illustration. And then I've got online classes at the Dani Joy Music Academy, including chord melody solo, where I actually teach people how to make their own chord melody solo.
Yes.
So that you can learn how to fish instead of being given a fish.
Absolutely. Oh, I got to tell people out there to do that course, because I taught one of my students how to do chord melody. And by the way, I was thinking, well, I've never taught chord melody, so I had to figure it out just before I taught her. Anyway, and then she started doing her arrangements, and it's like, it blew my mind. I heard her arrangements like, are you kidding me?
That's the best. Yeah.
That is, it's like,
right. When you say, what do you think about this? And then it's on MuseScore, and I can push play and listen to it. And it's like,
yeah,
taking all the elements and putting them together and using artistic flourishes here and there that just make it totally unique.
So go and get that course too. So that's worthwhile to learn while you're in lockdown. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dani, for being on the show.
Thank you, Stuart and Doug and Marlowe. It's nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, glad we got connected.
Awesome. And Marlowe, what is up with you? What are you doing? How can we get more of Marlowe?
Yeah, absolutely. I am kind of chilling behind the scenes right now, working on, like I said, my new album. I don't know. I'm hoping 2021. But I did release a remix album of a instrumental album that I put out in 2018, like I said, I started exploring R&B and like hip hop, and so I kind of flipped my original album to a whole remix album, and I invited a bunch of friends of producers and vocalists.
Ooh, cool.
And it's very different. But yeah, pretty much like I said, I have to portray a story without lyrics, and I gave them my stories and I let them run with it, and they made the lyrics for me. And so that was released in April. You can find all that at Marlowe, MARLOWE, -official.com, and it'll be up there. And yeah, stay tuned for new music. I'm just behind the scenes right now, finishing up some stuff.
I love different, and
it's very different.
Doug, are you going to be sending me all those links? I'm assuming, so we can have it all on the.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're already done.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, everyone out there, before we go, Doug, what's going on?
Well, I'm super excited because today the Pandemic Pluckers on the London group that I go to all the time. Saturday's host is a guy named Ronan, and he has a brand new book, and it has some Maiden in it. It has some AC/DC in it.
Wow.
And that book actually has Ace of Spades by Motorhead, and I have played that just about every time I've been in that strum along. So
really, now you know what's weird, Doug, is I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Does he take his name Ronan from that Ronan, or
no?
just
because
the Ronan
he's Irish.
Oh, sorry,
he's Irish, and that's his name.
Oh, it is his real name.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, go ahead and see that too. So, but anyway, yeah, Pandemic Pluckers, and who else from Opera Lele? Mandy.
Oh, Mandy.
Yeah.
She hosts every other Friday, and she's awesome. Of course, we had the Denver Ute community today. We did our spooky tunes.
Nice.
And then next month we're doing food songs, which is the punniest of all of our meetings. So it's one of my favorites. And actually, I just hosted for the Ukulele Wednesdays Portland group. That's being from Denver,
Danny, you didn't know
weird.
that Doug's invading your space, did you?
Well, he's of course welcome here. I'd like to know how I can get on with those other clubs.
Well, there will be a link in the show notes for that.
I'd like to.
Super duper fun. But having a grand old time.
Doug's like a world traveling ukulele guy, because now that you have Zoom, he can be anywhere. So all of you ukulele groups out there, you better beware. Doug might be showing up.
Oh,
just randomly.
I just did Saskatoon this last week too, which was awesome because they're in the same time zone as because they're in the Canadian Rockies. Just
nice.
North of us,
Saskatchewan folks, nice. Saskatchewan's, I love it.
When the pandemic first started, do you remember the videos of the Italians all going out on their balconies and singing? And And now we can just go and join a meeting with somebody in London or wherever. The craziest thing is that it's actually kind of brought us closer together.
In that way, it has, and it's kind of forced people to do that, and I'm glad of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a silver lining, I guess. So there you go. Okay,
it's one of those things where there can be a silver lining, and I think there's, and not to downplay, there has been a lot of strife and heartache that this has brought about, for sure. And I don't mean to in any way downplay that, but there are a lot of situations where, like, you can look on the bright side of life, I like doing that. So
yes, you do, and I so appreciate you for that, Doug. Yeah, and for the OokTown podcast, of course, you can go to patreon.com/OokTown, become a sponsor. That's how you can help show some love to the ukulele community, because I get to bring on people like Dani Joy and Marlowe and a whole bunch of other people. We've had Aldrine. I even had Jake on once, way long time ago. That was when I was guerrilla podcasting. Yeah, and so you get this incredible mixture of different artists and points of view, and sometimes we go off the rail, and that's okay. And sometimes, like here, we there's so much goodness here about all the things ukulele and beyond. So thanks everyone. As we do on every show, I have people say aloha on three. So I'll go count to three, and then we'll all say aloha. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
The toughest part of the show. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Aloha.
Yay! Oh, you guys are
Yay!
fantastic.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to end the broadcast. But